The music is still going. All right. What's up, everybody? Andrew Cooper here, Alarm Fantasy Football. What's happening? No Howard Bender here, right? No, uh, dude, I had the wrong things playing in my headphones, Derek. What's up, everybody? Andrew Cooper here. Very cool. Very cool start.
Great thing about live television, baby.
Great thing. Yes. What's up there? I had my YouTube open, dude. So I'm hearing myself like 5 times, dude. Very cool. So yeah, what's up, everybody? No Howard Bender. He's off doing baseball. Boo. John and Pemba's doing basketball. And I guess it is playoffs for basketball, so you need your help there. But we're hanging here. We're doing football. And all offseason here, what I've been doing is bringing on people that I like because I can do whatever I want right now. So I'm reaching out to people in the industry that I like their content. I'm asking them about their process, right? And where like little tips, tricks they can give us. And then I'm looking at the things that they're hitting right now, the specialties that they have. And I'm just saying, hey, give us some flag plants, give us some information, and we're going to knock that out. Does that work for you? Today we have Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros. He not only crushes it with the season-long stuff, but he actually just started a brand new podcast with our guy Thor, another guy that crushes the college content and the rookie content, the Dynasty Pros. It's not Dynasty Pros, it's the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Draft Show, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so give us a little bit about that. Just tell us what you got going on with that first.
Oh man. So Thor and I, it's been a labor of love with us. Like we've been preaching to the uppers at Fantasy Pros, like, please just give us a draft show. Just give us an NFL draft show. Come on. And this year we got a green lit, baby. So I'm excited, man. We're 4 episodes into that show. So anybody that's looking for the show can go find the show. It's on the same feed as the Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast. So if you subscribe to that feed, wherever you get your podcasts at, you will get our NFL draft show as well. So we're pumping through everything, man. Like we have, we've already gone through our quarterback prospect episodes. We went through all the top guys of the class, as well as dug deep on some deeper guys. We previewed the combine, had our combine recap show go live yesterday. We got some guests lined up here coming on, as well as, man, like we're going to start getting it into the position. So I'm excited. I love that show just to have that to do weekly with my man Thor, who I consider to be the best college football analyst in the business.
Crushes.
None above everybody. Like it's just not even close to me. So the chance to do that show with him has been fantastic. And really it's just, I mean, come on, Coop. You know how this goes, man. When you and Bender do a show, it's probably some iteration of just like crap you've talked to each other in texts or messages.
Exactly.
And it's like, I talk to Thor, like, probably it's like equal. Like, on a daily basis, it's like, how much do I talk to Thor versus my wife? They're pretty equal.
It's pretty close. So yeah.
All we're doing is just recording those crazy conversations. That's it, man. But I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to chop up rookies and stuff. It's a great time. We got NFL draft. We'll be here before we know it. Dynasty stuff. We got best ball popping off. I mean, it is a time where you really need the info on all these rookies, regardless of whatever you're trying to do right now, whether that's betting the draft, whether that's getting ready for dynasty stuff, rookie drafts. It's all out there, baby. So I'm happy to be here, man.
This is the time, man. And let that be a lesson to the people out there, the young content creators. When I started, I was writing whatever they wanted me to do. I was writing about closers, D-bro. Like I was writing nonsense. And then now, as we move up, we get to do things we want to do. Right? Like I'm sure you started off doing things you don't want to do. Now you get to do shows with your friends, you and Thor, doing the things you want to do. So stick with it. And eventually you could just have your friends on the show and hang out and talk ball. Right.
I mean, that's all we're all just trying to do here, man. And that's one of the great things that, you know, shout out to everybody at Fantasy Pros that I feel like we all get a chance to do on a daily basis. Like what better setup can you have than talking crap to your friends on a daily basis and working with them side by side, man. Right. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
It is great, man. And you guys got a great crew over there, dude. Shout out Thor, you know, Pat Fitz, one of my very favorites, dude. So,
I love that, man.
All right, well, let's get into it. First off, shout out to the chat, dude. We see you guys, Rex, Ani Koopy, Jack. Yeah, Jack is Jack sends it in there. It says, saw a nice write-up on Fantasy Pros for my boy A.T. Perry. There you go, dude. Yep. Jack is I
like A.T.
Very sharp best ball player. We do a bunch of fantasy line best ball drafts. He won 2 last year. Only person to win multiple.
Nice. Shout out to Jack, baby. Help me, Jack. I need that ROI, baby.
That's right, dude. Get that paper. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit the news real quick. Then I'm going to ask Derek about his process. And then I am going to just basically have because we could go through every single player, but I'm just going to ask Debro to bring up some players that he's higher than consensus on, because that's what matters at the end of the day in your rookie drafts. In my opinion, it's you only get so many picks, man. Even if you trade for a bunch, you get 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks or whatever, and you don't quite get to pick where they are. So if you want a guy, sometimes you got to just get your guy. So being above consensus on guys, you're going to end up at the bottom. That's the way it rocks. But first and foremost, let's hit with the news. Stop me if there's anything you want to talk about here. This is our weekly show, so some of it has already been talked about. But Mike Evans, 2 years, $52 million. Feeling good about Mike Evans still?
I feel good about him. I mean, I think the linchpin of that is who in the heck is going to be the quarterback. And so for Mike Evans, I look at it as a push. Like, is he probably still going to be a top 15 wide receiver? Did we all learn our lesson last year about not fading talented players? I mean, I feel like we've learned this lesson 2 years in a row, Coop. We learned it 2 years ago at Seattle, and then Geno was better, and then we got the massive values on DK and Tyler Lockett. Last year, we learned, well, guess what? We should have done the same thing with Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin didn't work out, but Mike Evans was a smash. And so I think the Bucs are going to figure it out, man. We know the volume is going to be there. And here's the thing. Even if you don't think that Baker Mayfield re-signs there, Tampa Bay could easily draft somebody like Michael Penix, who honestly, that's maybe if Baker prices himself out of the market, tell me that big, tall, can throw it a country mile down the field. That doesn't sound like a Bruce Arians pick. And yes, Arians is still a consultant for the franchise. So he still has a voice in that room. So look, I know that he's not the GM and stuff like that. Don't dissuade like the fact that he still has a voice in those decisions.
That's how it goes, man. You see that with certain teams like the Ravens, it's like those guys, the peak guys that make the decisions, DeCosta obviously great, but all the guys before him just kind of hang around, right? And it's like kind of like a consortium, the owners, friends and stuff. So yeah, I can see that one. And even if it's Baker back, I mean, Mike Evans, 13 touchdowns, dude, tying his career high, and obviously a great season. So we'll see. Colts franchise tag Michael Pittman. I mean, with that one, we don't need to get too deep into it because they're going to pay him more than $20 million a year anyway. So it's kind of just like, let's put this placeholder here. We're going to give you $20 million. We'd like to give you more than that for longer, right? But it's just kind of a placeholder, right?
Yeah, I think it's a placeholder, and it's really just a push for Pittman. I mean, last year I was off of him just because I was worried about the passing volume of Anthony Richardson. We saw last year, I mean, look, if Steichian's not afraid to ramp up the passing volume with freaking Gardner Minshew, what's he going to do with A-Rich when he's back fully healthy and comfortable? So, I mean, Pittman, look, he's going to be a top 24 guy again this year, and he's really stinking good too.
Exactly. And the thing is, with this guy, every league I play has at least 2 wide receiver spots in a flex, most of them 3, right? This guy, he plays 99%, 98% of the snaps, right? The floor on a guy who literally doesn't come off the field, which is actually kind of insane in modern football, it's so high that it's like if you draft him, I think the possibility of him completely busting to the point where he's not in your lineup is straight up zero. So a guy I like. Dalton Schultz back with the Texans, 3 years, $36 million. If the Texans didn't sign him, he was going to get scooped up by like the Dolphins, who run the same offense anyway. So it's basically, to me, Schultz was kind of a sell just because he was always going to end up as the third fiddle somewhere. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think? Are you in on Nico and Tank? I guess that's really the question of the day.
Yeah, I'm in on Nico and Tank, and I think that really what we saw out of Houston last year is there's no clear alpha. You saw, I mean, weeks where Nico and Tank were both healthy, Tank was leading in target share for a lot of that sample size. So we saw Nico just go ham when basically there was nobody else left in the offense besides him and Dalton Schultz. And it was just basically, okay, he's going to get 15, 17 freaking targets a week. But now looking at 2024, I think Schultz is going to be the third option in this offense. And I think, look, CJ Stroud-led offense, all of our worries about Bobby Slowik going somewhere else, he's not going anywhere else. So we get year 2, another year of growth out of CJ. Maybe they add to the O-line. Maybe they add another pass catcher and stuff because, the top 3 options are pretty good, but you still want to sit there and surround the young kid with a bunch of talent. I mean, I think Dalton Schultz, he's a push, man. You're going to value him anywhere between probably tight end 10 to tight end 15 this season.
He's exactly fine. That's it. Yep. He's exactly Dalton Schultz, right? He's Austin Hooper. I mean, and the thing is with Schultz, me, I got to get my tight end stats in there. When one of the wide receivers was out, either Nico or Tank Dell, he averaged 7 targets a game, which is all we asked for in
Yep.
this world. But when they were both healthy, he was closer to 4. So exactly like you said, back end, tight end 1. Scott Fishbowl, those guys are valuable. Most leagues, not really. Broncos releasing Russell Wilson. Let's get. Yeah, I mean, that's the dead cap. Our guy, Anand Nanduri, with the tweet that blew up, pointing out the dead cap. Absolutely insane here. My goodness, man.
Just crazy. And that kind of tells you all you need to know about if Denver didn't do that and Russell Wilson's not getting paid, what other kind of like craziness could we see floating on the timeline? Like all that says is Russell Wilson had the franchise bent over and it was basically like, look, you're going to pay me or you're going to pay me. So I mean, that's all it says, dude.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, he's going to get another job. He's going to get paid again. I think he just, wherever he goes, he needs to take a big slice of humble pie. I don't know if he's capable of that, given that he just, walks around like he's running for president all the time. But
I think he's capable of it. I think last year was very, very telling because he wasn't the Denver offense last year was not built around Russell. It was built around how can we hide Russell Wilson? How can he be a game manager? And so at this point, I think he's on the fringe of like where he's at talent wise. I think he's on the fringe of still being an NFL starter. And that might sound terrible to some, but if you've watched Russell Wilson play football over the last 2 years, that's not a stretch. Like we have to understand where he's at. And once guys fall off the cliff, they're off the cliff. And he doesn't have that ability to scramble around. The deep ball has regressed a lot. And Russell Wilson probably is going to end up a starter somewhere, or maybe we see him having to compete for a job, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's true.
That's it, man. You go back and look at it. This is a guy that used to run 100 times a season, right? Yep. And then around, age 27, 28, he was living on the threat of him running. And that's how he's finding Tyler Lockett and stuff downfield. Now that threat is gone, people are just looking at it and they're like, okay, we've got this guy that is just okay at throwing the ball, and they're kind of figuring him out. So I'm with you on that. But I think he'll land somewhere and he'll be a starter. So we'll see. Alexander Madison released. Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, he'll probably end up somewhere as a backup running back, probably somewhere that runs more gap and power than zone, because that's Madison. Like he doesn't have a lot of as far as like lateral agility to get to the edge. So top 2 destinations, I probably see him landing at least as of right now, probably either Baltimore or New England. Be off the top of my head.
That's exactly what he is. There's value in guys that seem like they're good guys that have good head on their shoulder. They can pick up playbooks and they can be there if the starter gets hurt. So he'll find a spot in that capacity, but he's not wowing anybody. And we can, under the category of meh, I'll also file Chiefs release MVS and Logan Thomas being released from Washington. Good run, converted quarterback, but there you go. Also, Jason Kelce retired. That's it for news. Let's just hit a couple quick rumors. Saquon Barkley potentially targeting the Texans. Good landing spot? I feel like it is.
Good landing spot, but I'll be straight up. I don't see Houston doing that. I don't see Houston breaking. Like, look, basically for everybody that pushes back against RBs getting paid, Houston was, it's exactly what you wanted to see. If you're in the pro, don't pay RB camp. What they got out of Devin Singletary last year was exactly the reason of why you don't pay running backs. You can get starter-worthy production out of guys. I'm still leaving a light on. I don't think Saquon goes to Houston. I'm leaving a light on for Dameon Pierce, because everything that could have gone wrong for Dameon Pierce last year did go wrong. The offensive line wasn't good. Then, I said good, wasn't good. Everybody was hurt whenever he was actually healthy. Then he gets hurt. He comes back, and Devin Singletary has run away with the job. Singletary is not going to probably be back. And looking at that room, Dameon Pierce was quietly still top 10 amongst all running backs in missed tackles forced per attempt. So the talent that we saw in the rookie season has not gone anywhere. So if you're doing early best ball drafts, grab Dameon Pierce. He's going to be floating out there. I don't have ADP up in front of me, but I'm guessing ballparking, he's somewhere in the 30 to 40 range as far as ADP. Grab him. If you're going 0 RB, grab him. He could easily be the starter this year for Houston.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the one metric that kind of killed him that we kind of were saying they could bring somebody in, and they did, was the pass blocking. That's where he struggled. And Bobby Slowick used to work for Pro Football Focus. He knows all that stuff. He knows all the data behind that. Dameon Pierce actually improved in that last year. Like he actually graded out the best that he has yet. So if he can figure that out, then he might be all right. That's kind of the thing for him.
The other thing about that, Coop, is anybody that was saying that with Dameon Pierce is a bad pass blocker, I'll push back against that. Like, I saw him at Senior Bowl. I watched all of his game final year at Florida. He is a good pass protector. Now, if he struggled to come into that in the NFL, I'm willing to give him a grain of salt. So the fact that his numbers look better last year, that's just, honestly, for me, that's just Dameon Pierce playing like Dameon Pierce that I know.
Well, what I think it is a lot of times, T-Bro, is that, and that's the problem with saying bad pass blocker, is that he could physically be a good good pass blocker, and sometimes the schemes are very difficult. You watch a guy like Marshawn Lynch, the way he would operate, man, like it's a counting game with some of these setups. So once you figure it out, like, so the ability was there, but maybe not. Maybe he wasn't up to speed. So we'll have to see on that, man. And I think he could be just fine. We also got some quarterback rumors. Atlanta. I mean, I'm hearing Justin Fields. I'm hearing Kirk Cousins. I'm hearing a lot of stuff, dude. I mean, who would you want to see go there? It depends if you're a fan of Drake London and because there's like landmines, right? It's like if you don't like Drake London and Pitts, you say, oh, send Fields over there, right? But if you do like those guys, then you say maybe send Kirk Cousins or somebody who's more inclined to throw higher volume than maybe Fields. I think the problem with Fields is the rushing always going to sap the volume to some degree. In my opinion.
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, the way that I'll look at it is give me either one of them, Coop. I mean, I'm fine with either one of them because either one of them are still an upgrade over Desmond freaking Ridder, which we had to suffer through. And they're an upgrade over Marcus Mariota. And so even if, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't care about if we get league average, slightly above league average quarterback play in Atlanta this year. And again, we're making assumptions, but I'm just going to draw the most vanilla line right now. Give me league average quarterback play. Give me a league average passing rate in close games. And I'm telling you right now, Coop, Drake London's going to catch 95 to 100 balls. It's going to happen. He's that freaking good, man.
I mean,
and it's wheels up for Kyle Pitts. Like, I'm still in on Kyle Pitts. Like, his metrics last year, the things that you want to see that say, okay, does this guy still have an elite level type of ceiling? And the way that I go back to that with tight ends, I mean, you're the tight end whisperer, so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but the cheat code is yards per route run against man coverage. You could pull up that one freaking metric, and it's literally a laundry list of the top guys at the position every single year. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Kyle Pitts is still in that phylum. His numbers against man coverage even last year were still awesome. And while, okay, the window dressing and the counting stats weren't great, fine. Maybe I'm just a masochist, but I'm rolling it back with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I don't care.
No, I'm in, man. And he's got, the thing is, the big difference maker is the speed, of course, the yards, because you can, that's how you get, a guy like Jake Ferguson has 71 receptions for 700 yards versus rookie Kyle Pitts, 68 receptions for over 1,000. That's the difference maker. And I'll tell you that yards per route run versus man coverage, when you break that stat down into different components, it covers everything for tight end because every tight end is going to get the play actions. They're going to get the little dump downs, the screens, but being able to beat guys in man-to-man not only translates to those extra targets, but that's how you win in the red zone, right? With winning when everyone's in zero lockdown coverage. That's why Hunter Henry scores touchdowns because he's good in that in man-to-man in those tight situations. I mean, that's going to be a big difference maker. And I'm in on Drake London. I mean, he led the league in contested catches on terribly thrown passes. 17 contested catches, right?
And so just for everybody out there, I know they would say like there can't be the one end-all be-all metric to catch everything. And I know I'm going to run through this fast, Coop. The top 13 list of yards per route run against man coverage for tight ends right now. And everybody just strap in because this is just a laundry list of elite dudes. Starting, and this is every guy with at least a minimum of 10 man coverage targets. George Kittle's number 1. TJ Hawkinson, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Kelsey, Laporta, Pitts. Kyle Pitts, baby. Jake Ferguson, Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, and Dalton Schultz round out the top 10. I mean, the top 12. Yeah. Which guy is not good in fantasy? Somebody, please tell me.
That was the list. That's the list, man. Anybody else that sneaks on the list just does it with a random touchdown. So there you go. You don't have to sell me on Kyle Pitts, man. I'm buying.
Yes.
So, all right, let's get the next segment here. We've news notes. We got it out of the way. What the people want here is they want to hear from you. They want to hear what you're all about, and then they want to hear how we can take advantage of that. So in this next segment, that's it, man. The thing is, my job is I'm serving the Fantasy Alarm members, right? So
Yep.
I'm bringing in and you're one of my boys, so I can bring you in and pick your brain and say, okay, here's how Derek's going to help us, and we're going to take that, we're going to incorporate it all. That's our only job, right? Is to help our listeners and our members win leagues, man. And I think you can help, man. So first thing I want to ask, because this is crucial to me, because during the season, it's so funny. We're all on the same track, right? We're watching football. We're watching football on Saturday. We're watching football on Sunday. And then the season ends and it splinters, man. Like for me, I'm doing an article on every single team for free agency.
Right? I saw you were doing that. You're a psycho, man. I love it. Love it. Degen stuff here, baby.
Yeah. And one a day, dude. Every day. I just want. I lose my mind, dude. If I lose my mind, if I don't do something. But
yeah, I mean, you're gonna sign up. You basically just signed up for an article a day for over a month. Just for everybody doing the math out there. That's a lot of fun.
I got 2 left, dude. I got 2 left. And the funny thing that people don't realize is you got to start before the Super Bowl because there's actually only 28 days. I'm like doing the math. I'm like, boy, we got to cook it. So 2 articles left, man. You think I'll make it? Free agency.
I think you're at the finish line now, baby.
I'm there, yeah. I can't give up now, dude.
When you get to about and I've done team series before, when you get to that final 10, you're just like, I gotta cross the finish line.
I'm there, dude. I'm just like, dude, I'm writing about exclusive rights free agents. I'm like, maybe you can return punts. I don't know. But we're getting through it, dude. But the thing is, that's my path. And then I pick up, which is so valuable having guys like you on, because I end up behind on some of the other stuff. But you and Thor and the gang, like you dig in a little easier. I had a few guests on Dave Kluge. He told me, he's like, you know what? I work so hard all year round. I'm doing a couple hikes. You know what I mean? I'm taking a little time, which is absolutely fine with me, but everyone goes in different directions. So for you, let's say the moment we get off the big DFS slates. So the last few are like wild card weekend, right? Like then that DFS is kind of done. What's your schedule like, man? What do you do from there until, let's say, the draft? Yeah.
So the moment that the regular season, and Lord, I got to pick up my little co-pilot here. My dog's always in here.
Hey, what up?
Keeping me company.
What up, dude?
Lay down. Yeah, she's very needy. She's kind of like my co-host Thor.
Do that.
Respect. So with that, no, dude, as soon as the regular season kind of finishes and we get into playoffs and I start to get a little bit of breathing room, my biggest thing is I then start, because I know immediately right over the horizon is Senior Bowl in Mobile. And we go to that. I've gone to that the last 2 years for Fantasy Pros. I think 3 or 4 years running straight. And with Senior Bowl, I don't have the bandwidth during the season to watch college players. I just don't have it, man.
Right.
We're so deep in the weeds of football, and you know this. I mean, we just kind of laid that out. But for me, as soon as we get to the point where after the main slates of playoff stuff, it really comes down to, okay, I've got to play catch up on all these prospects. So really that starts for me going through all of the tape, going through all the things for everybody for all the Senior Bowl rosters. So with the college prospects and the draft cycle, I start that puts me starting not at the bottom of a class, but somewhere in the middle of a class. And depending on who is going to Mobile, it looks a little bit different than saying, okay, I'm going to start with the prospects and I'm starting at the very top and going down. For me, I'm either starting in the middle and then working my way up, or I'm starting at the bottom and working my way up. So really it starts with, I got to watch all the guys going to the Senior Bowl, which can be almost 30 some odd players. And after I get done with them, then I start getting into all of the upper guys in the class to sit here and watch. And then I start formulating my primers, because so this week, all my primers are dropping. Quarterback and wide receiver for prospects are already live. They are living, breathing documents. So I will continue to add players as I'm watching them. Running backs drops tomorrow, and then tight ends drops at the end of the week. So it's really, I dive into all things prospect and NFL draft and stuff like that, starting with Senior Bowl and then working my way through the rest of the class.
Yeah. So one thing you mentioned there that I love about your process, because I catch up after you. So you're kind of on this speedboat, and I'm just wakeboarding behind it, kind of listening and being like, all right, what do we got? What's going on here? But one thing I love about you is that you're willing to keep it live and change things as you go,
Oh yeah.
because there are a lot of people out there that will just watch college football all year, and then those are their takes. And some of those guys are very, very sharp, but there's just too much, I think, along the way in the process that affects our decisions, right?
There is.
The combine being one, obviously, and then we hear things, and then the craziest one for me is the people that don't change at all following the draft, which, you know what? I respect the process of a lot of people. It's just mine is always going to include the draft and the combine, you know?
And that's really where it comes down. I think there's two very specific things that I want to highlight with everything you just rolled through, Coop, is that you have to be very mindful, and this is kind of a branch off of that. I think you have to be, and this, I'm going to quote my dude Ray G on this one. You have to be very, very mindful of the content that you consume in this process, because if you open up X and you're like, hey, I'm going to search whatever prospect name, you will get takes that will say, this is the best player in the class. And it could be like RB20. You will get takes everything from this is the best player in the class to he's totally terrible. Like, so you have to go through at least the content sources of people that you trust, and whether that's track record or you believe in their process. And a lot of that, where it comes down is, man, and the one thing that I think is so interesting this time of year, and we could talk about, we're going to get into like some of the specific players and just this class overall, but especially for an industry overall that prides itself or talks about, like, we want differing opinions. We want differing process. In this kind of time of the year, when you start talking about prospects and rankings specifically, people are so fast to just lean on the echo chamber. Oh, dear Lord, you have a number one wide receiver that's not named Marvin Harrison Jr. You suck. That's terrible.
Right.
How could you even do that?
Dare you?
Like last year, I ranked Puka Nacua as my wide receiver 5 in the class, and people were like, oh, you're whatever. You're full
stupid.
Of it. No damn way. And it's like, everybody has their own process.
Right.
And what that process, like in these streets, this time of year, you have to feel confident about what you're doing and how you're analyzing these prospects. Because I'm telling you, the first time you step out of line against the echo chamber, people are going to be like, no, that's terrible, blah, 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 blah. Like, just go and look at my timeline, people. When I put out my quarterback ranks 3 or 4 weeks ago, right after Thor and I did the QB episode for the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show, I said JJ McCarthy is my QB2 in this class. And I got tons of, oh, he's terrible. He's crap. You're just doing this for clicks. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. But now, Coop, I'm going to throw this back to you. Have you heard a lot of JJ McCarthy hype in the last 3
there's
weeks?
a little bit of steam for that player.
It's so funny. So crazy now, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And now all of a sudden, people got him ahead of Drake May, got him at QB2, but now nobody ever comes back. Nobody ever comes back and says, "Hey, you know what? You were right about this or that."
No.
And the thing people have to understand, especially about dynasty rookie drafts, is that in your redraft leagues, right? Like, if you ranked last year Nico Collins at 12, you were exactly right. That's where he came in, but you didn't need to draft him at 12 to get him. So you have to factor in ADP to some degree with redraft. With your rookie draft, you might have 2 picks. So if you want Malik Neighbors, you got to rank him 1. You got to rank him, it's like you have to rank him in a spot where you can get him. And same goes for Puka Nacua, right? Because it doesn't matter if you rank Puka Nacua 5, but then you take other players thinking you can get him later and then you don't. It doesn't matter. So this is the one spot where you do have to plant some flags, which is why I brought you on for the show right after the combine. You have
to, though,
because I know you got flags, man. I know
you have to plant them. And I don't know where you sit on this, Coop, but I am firmly like, ADP is a false construct. It's the group think of what we all think is an industry. The thing about that, and people lean so much on ADP, and I'm not telling you to draft a 4th round rookie in the 1st round. I'm not telling you in redraft to take a guy that goes in the 10th round and the 4th round. I'm not saying that, but taking them a round ahead of where they go in rookie drafts, taking them 2 rounds ahead of where they go in redraft, like in the middle rounds. Who gives a shit? Because the thing about it is, if you're right, you win. And so have conviction. And this all boils down to just simply get your guys. If you believe in a player, and this is rookie draft, redraft, best ball, all those types of things. If you believe in a player and you're right about that player, you win. It's that simple. If you're wrong, you're going to lose. Why not? If you're doing the work on it, man, why not believe in your process? If not, then what are we all doing here?
Right. No, it's 100%, man. That's the case. So that's why for me, like I'm never going to be like, oh my God, this idiot. It's a waste of time. And honestly, there's just too many people out there tearing other people down.
Yeah.
And the more time you spend tearing people down, the less time you're spending building yourself up and your friends up.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like
So
if you want to, instead of using that energy to tear people down, why don't you focus on bettering your process, going back to the film, understanding why somebody has a player ranked or why they're high on them? If you understand and you keep your mind open to all these different inputs, it's like you might actually surprise yourself. Like, look, okay, I missed this. I'll go back to the film, or, that's a compelling point, man. Like, I'm willing to be moved on players throughout all these processes and say, you know what? New information comes out. Let's take it in. Let's analyze it, man, because nobody has all the answers. Nobody is 110% right all the freaking time. We all have things we bring to the table. So let's be open to that.
Bingo, man. All right. So that's perfect. Leading me right into my next question for you is that in Dynasty, can you give us something that you feel gives you an advantage? And people have brought a ton of different stuff to the table when I ask this question, whether it's like tips they use to target guys or fade guys or trade angles they use. Our guy Chester brought an angle on Fab and things he does there, which was kind of interesting. So anything, stats, scouting tips, anything that you think that helps you get an advantage, and ideally for these rookies, because it's that time of year.
I mean, for me, it goes back to the stats and the process. So, like, where players are and where you could see or envision their stock going, the way, and specifically how I rank in Dynasty. If people pull up my ranks in Dynasty, I am very aggressive on certain players. Players, if the stats all scream that, like, look, this player is a freaking stud, and whether it's injuries, opportunity, what have you, like, if that's standing in opposition to people, fine. I don't really care. Like, I'm willing to stand on that ledge by myself or be early on a player, because we always see that, Coop, too. Like,
right.
People will be like, oh, well, whatever. That's crazy. Like, I put out a tweet about it, and I'm massively high on Jaleel McLaughlin right now. Like, I freaking love him. I think he's going to tear it up this coming season. And so whether it's, for me, it comes down to I'm willing to follow my process. I'm willing to be very aggressive on players that I believe in. Am I going to miss some of those shots that I take? Yeah. But also, am I going to hit some of those shots and get players at values because I'm willing to double down on my own process and believe in the process when there is uncertainty? There are things in circumstances where you're like, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's multiple players over multiple years I can point to that. And really where it comes down to me is I'm willing to deviate based off of my process from consensus, and whether that's dynasty ranks or just overall, and ranking guys. Like right now, I've got Jaleel McLaughlin ranked as a top 24 dynasty running back. You're not going to see him in there at any other spot. Like, that's just because the position is all over the place. Like, we have Saquon, we have Jacobs, we have all these free agents, and we don't know where they're going to land and stuff like that. I know Jaleel is going to be back in Denver. I know that Javonte's coming off a major injury. I know that his tackle breaking metrics were just, honestly, like, let's call it what it is, bad last year.
He ran for like 3 yards a carry, right? Javonte Williams.
I mean, he didn't look like himself. And people were like, whenever I throw out the Jaleel takes, they're like, well, did Javonte just retire? And I'm like, no. But can we also talk about this is a team run by a head coach that has no qualms giving work to a smaller back. He also has no qualms about highly utilizing not only running backs in the red zone, but in the passing game.
Led the entire league in passes to the running back. That team did.
Yes, that team, man. And so when it comes down to me, I think the edge in Dynasty and other formats comes to, I'm not afraid to be aggressive on players that I believe and I believe in the process with.
Boom. Okay. So that's perfect because I wanted to talk to everybody about a way to take advantage of that. And I know a lot of people like to be first on Twitter, right? You go out, it is fun.
Oh,
It is fun. It is fun being first on Twitter, but there's an actual real way you could take advantage right now in doing early best ball drafts.
Yes, sir.
So I'm doing them on a few different places. My FFPC actually hooked us up. Promo code Coop, deposit 35 or more. They'll give you $25 when you set that up. Matt, if you got the QR code, throw that on the screen. I know we got the link in the description. Go over there and you can take advantage of all the things Debro is going to talk about in this show, because here's the thing. It's already happened once to Debro where he was early. There's your QR code. He was early on JJ McCarthy, and now everybody's coming around, and now the ADP is going to come together. So now is when you go and do the best ball drafts on all these guys, because when Debro's right again and these guys go in the second round and the third round of the draft, now all the casuals are going to catch up. So you lose an advantage. I go out and I do some drafts right now. If you want to do that, go over to myffpc.com, use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. I had to get that in there, Debro, because it was the perfect timing coming off what you were saying.
Oh, man.
So let me ask you one last question on your process, which is going to help us for this next segment here, which is everybody has a format that kind of lives in their mind, right? Like you ask somebody a question and they think to their hometown league, or they think to whatever they have like 20 leagues of. So like for you, when I say, what do you think about this player? What's the form? What's your default format? Like Superflex, 1QB, PPR, half PPR? What lives in your brain, man?
So it's Superflex all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's 3 wide receiver setups all the time. And for dynasty purposes, and this comes down to just bandwidth and life for me these days, I hate setting lineups, man. So for me, it's all dynasty, it's all best ball.
Yeah.
So I love all the best ball stuff.
Dude.
I love all the dynasty best ball. Like I'm in 2 dynasty best ball startups right now where I'm just like, I can do best balls. Like I can do best balls and we can work trades and all that kind of stuff in dynasty. And I'm totally with that. But as far as like when I sit down every Sunday morning and it's like, okay, I'm answering questions from our Discord, or I'm on live shows, or I'm updating ranks, or I'm trying to help other people set their lineups. The time for me to set my lineups is very tiny, Coop.
Right.
So for me, it's all best ball all the time now, man, because that's just where I don't have the bandwidth to set, 15, 20 lineups every Sunday morning and put my best foot forward with content and trying to help other people. Because, for me, and this sounds, I know it sounds incredibly cliche. So I'm giving the warning, the sounder right now on that.
There we go.
But I care more about helping people win than I care about my own lineups. And that's just straight up, because I'm sorry. That is what our job is.
Right.
So I care more about that. So when people talk about ROI and they talk about their leagues and stuff like that, could I do better in my own leagues if I cared less about other people's leagues? Sure. But at the end of the day, I care about other people's teams more than I care about my own.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you. On Sunday mornings, I do show 10 to 11 on Sirius and then 11 to noon on the YouTube, and then I'm in the Discord. So if you're listening on Sirius and you hear a commercial come on, that's when Howard Bender and I scramble to do our lineups. And we're sitting there. I'm like, should I start? So 3 minutes at a time.
DFS lineups, you're trying to bet. You're trying to do all these different things to get your action in for that week. And it's like, something's got to get squeezed, baby.
The best ball is nice, especially for 2 reasons. I mean, you can even have if you want some element of lineup to some degree, decision making, then have a taxi squad where then some of your guys are eligible, some of them aren't. But the beauty of that is that you can just focus on accumulating value, right? Because now I've seen some stupid top heavy teams win dynasty leagues, and the team's not even good. 1 year my buddy's team was so cobbled together. It was 2020 Logan Thomas season when he was tight end 3.
Oh,
just his team was so terrible, but he won our dynasty league. He was terrible at dynasty and he won because he just cobbled it together, which is cool, right? But that dude's never going to win in a deep best ball one with, you know what I mean? Where it's you have to just accumulate the best players. So I love that. Okay, so that'll be the format for this next segment here, man. And I honestly I just want to know who you're higher on the consensus. I obviously I follow you. I check out, your shows with Thor and stuff. So I'm going to ask about a few guys, but right off the rip, I just want to ask about JJ McCarthy real quick, because we know that you've loved him the entire time. Now everybody else also loves him after a good combine here. I mean, just give us the quick stump speech on JJ.
I mean, dude, I don't understand why people hate him so much. I really don't. Because if you turn on the film, he's a quick processor. He's accurate to all three levels of the field. The deep ball accuracy can kind of get a little bit here or there. But as far as short and intermediate, the guy throws dots all freaking days. And we were out here talking about, okay, is he going to be a rush for 500 yards on a consistent basis in the NFL? Probably not. Is he going to give you 300 to 400? Is he way more athletic than people give him credit for? Yeah, he showed that in the three cone. If he'd ran the 40, he'd ran in the 4.5s. But with JJ, I don't understand how people push back against this part of it, Coop. If you look at all FBS quarterbacks last year with at least 150 dropbacks, JJ McCarthy, 10th in PFF receiving grade, 4th in adjusted completion rate, 11th in yards per attempt. What out of any of those numbers? Oh, let's also pile on top of that. If you look at what he did in deep ball and pressured situations, he was top 5 in completion rates on both of those situations as well. What do people not like about JJ? And I'm sorry, your bad narratives about, oh, there wasn't volume for Michigan. They were winning every freaking
They should have
game.
gone. They should have gone more undefeated, bro. They should have gone more undefeated. That's the thing.
I don't get it, man. It's like, look,
Right.
You have a coach that wants to be run heavy. They're absolutely just kicking every team's teeth in every week. And it's like, well, they didn't pass a ton. Well, guess what? They weren't in competitive games in a lot of those situations. There were 6 or 7 games, and my dude Brett Whitefield put an amazing thread about this, where J.J. McCarthy didn't even play part or the entire fourth quarter. Right. So what the heck are we talking about here? If you turn on his film, if you look at his stats, the kid can freaking play.
There's one thing that teams care about, which is broken down into 2 things. The one thing is winning, and then that's broken further down into touchdowns and first downs. That's it, man. That's it. And at the end, it's impossible to, like, what was this kid supposed to do? Go to Jim Harbaugh and say, hey, can we throw it more? I mean, it's just
we're up by 2 touchdowns.
Can we throw it a little more? You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a problem for NFL evaluators. So I'm with you on this one, man. And I'll tell you what, it makes me happy as a Patriots fan. I'm not sure if you see some of the stuff hanging behind me here. I just want some of that. I think there's Pedro right there. So that's my gang, man. And we're unbiased analysis, but like for me personally, I just want, because you never know, like what if behind the scenes people really they don't like Drake Mayer, they don't like JJ. I want to have 3 great quarterbacks, and if I possible, I would like to have 4. If I could have 5, that would be great. You know what I mean? The more great quarterbacks there are, the more comfortable I feel with the pick made at 3, man. And if it's JJ McCarthy or Jaden Daniels, I'm just in. So for me, I'm not worried about it. All right. Now
I've said from the beginning, just real quick on your Patriots take, I've said from the very beginning, they can trade back from 3, because if you look at the teams behind them, if everybody just decides like they're not going quarterback and stuff, they could trade back with one of these teams and still get the quarterback that they want, if it's Drake Mayer or McCarthy possibly.
Because it's going to be a bloodbath at wide receiver because of what just happened with
offensive tackles, other guys there like that.
Too.
Those next few teams don't need quarterbacks. So
T. Higgins tagged, Mike Evans back, Michael Pittman tagged. Calvin Ridley, there's a possible loophole in the contract where if they just wait until the 14th, they can bring him back, and now they don't have to give the Falcons a 2nd-round pick. He could very easily be. We could be talking about Hollywood Brown, and then Hollywood Brown, like Curtis Samuel, being the top 2 free agent wide receivers. I could see some wide receivers going very early here. So all right, we talk JJ McCarthy. I'm just going to hand it to you. I'm going to hand it to you to just plant a flag on somebody. I've got an idea who you might say, but I know you got a few guys. Plant a flag on somebody that you're above consensus on, and that's not going to change.
Oh, man. Well, there's 2 guys that'll make the list here, Xavier Worthy and Javon Baker. I love both of them. And look, I was in on Worthy before he went out and ran the combine stuff. I don't care about that, like in the sense of I already knew he was freaking fast, Coop. I don't need somebody like whether he runs a 4.3 or he breaks a combine record. I don't really care. Because, and I put this tweet out a few weeks ago, the speed about Xavier Worthy is the first thing that people are going to talk about when they should be talking about his route running first. That's a special sauce for him. Is the speed awesome? Sure. Is that what keeps him? Because here's the thing. People are going to talk about the size. We continually see the NFL moving to more of a situation where guys go over the middle. They're not having to deal with massive hits like Ronnie Lott's of the world where, you're getting a hospital ball if you catch one over the middle.
It's a penalty now. It's a penalty now. Like
so,
they tell you not to do that.
Yeah, and you see guys at smaller sizes continually win over the last few years. We could point to Tank Dell. We could point to Devonta Smith. Those are the easy, low-hanging fruit. But Xavier Worthy is still that freaking dude, man. And for everybody that throws out all these like kind of comps, and I'm like, well, it's John Ross. It's all these guys. And just because he ran so fast, that's actually a red flag. And it's like, you're comparing him and lumping him into a bucket of a bunch of other guys that don't have the same type of profile or the same type of skills. You're not talking about a guy that did nothing in college until his final season, and then he's got a bad breakout age. He doesn't do anything. Like Xavier Worthy right now had 97th percentile breakout age. He broke out in his first freaking season from Texas. And if you look at other metrics, he's been good, man. So I don't care about the size. I love the freaking kid. And moving over to Javon Baker, another situation of a guy that I'm going to be higher than consensus on. I love Baker's game. And did he go to Senior Bowl? Because I saw him in Mobile, got a chance to talk to him. Fantastic kid, transferred from Alabama, went to UCF. Is he a guy that if you ask him to take the top off of a defense, is that where he's going to win consistently as a field stretcher? No. Was he asked to do that a lot at UCF? Yes. I think Javon Baker is a high volume guy in the NFL. I have a 3rd round grade on him, but everything about his profile and his film is fantastic, Coop. Like, we're looking at a player that last year, 8th in yards per route run against all FBS wide receivers, at least 50 targets, 24th in PFF receiving grade. He was also top 20 in contested catch rate. And I understand that's a concerning thing for people and saying, okay, well, a wide receiver doesn't get open. If you look at Baker's tape and you watch his film and marry that with the other metrics, he gets open plenty, man. The only problem that he has in his game is he has okay but not amazing long speed. And so when he went out and he ran a 4.5, I don't give a crap about that. That's what I was expecting him to run. Yep. But his special sauce is he is a really good route runner. So I think he's going to be a high volume guy in the NFL. The short and intermediate, he's going to eat people alive.
Yeah, with you hyping him up, I went and watched. I just watched the highlights, right? But like, dude, the body control in that guy is kind of silly, huh?
He makes some kind of catch. He makes back shoulder
like a ballerina
in the air type of catches look ridiculously easy, man.
Go gadget foot to keep it in balance.
Oh, dude, he's so freaking good. He's just a boundary magician. But do we have time where I consider and lay some love on one more player?
Yeah, Matt, I mean, we got time. We can do as much. But I just want to say one thing on Javon Baker because I did watch him, man. And I'll say this about the contested catch stuff is that you watch a guy like Rashee Rice that people said the same things about with the contested catches. It's not going to translate. Rashee Rice came to the next level, got drafted in the 3rd round, like you're predicting him to go in. Or 2nd round, actually. He came to the next level. And he didn't have a lot of contested catches. That's something that grows. Like if you have that in your bag of tricks, that grows at the NFL level. But Rashee Rice came out and used his route running to do what he did. And now as he gets the bag of tricks, the Keenan Allen and the DeAndre Hopkins bag of tricks, then the contested catches comes along. So sometimes these guys are a slow burn, but if Baker can make it to the next level and use his route running to make stuff happen, just know that in his bag of tricks is the ability to catch the ball when there's guys on him, and not everyone can do that. So,
well, yeah. and just to lay into my ceiling comp for Javon Baker, if you go back, you look at the testing, you look at the draft pedigree, you look at size, speed, all these different types of things. I'm going to say this, and people are going to say it's a borderline insane take. My comp for Javon Baker is Chris Godwin.
Ooh, I don't think that's crazy. Why is that? That's not crazy. He was second round pick out of Penn State, and again took a little time to break out. He was 3rd round breakout, but when it broke out, man, it was.
Yep. Yeah. Javon Baker's that dude.
Yeah, we got time. Let's do one. We can't just be all sunshine and roses. So let's do one negative one, and then we'll wrap it up with another positive one. So give me somebody that you think, or you can just give me a few names if you want to.
Okay.
That you think that that either the combine hurt him or you were already low on him and the combine killed him.
So Michael Penix is the first guy I'll bring up here. I was hoping and really I thought I was going to be in on him whenever I watched his film and all the different parts of his game. But I'm below consensus. I am not a Michael Penix guy. I just look at there are a lot of holes in his game. You could talk about his inability to utilize the middle of the field. You could talk about his trigger. You could talk about the fact of he limits yak opportunities for his wide receivers, because when he throws, it's basically coming down like he's a guy that he's not throwing with anticipation. He's a see it, throw it quarterback. And that's not damning to him. But also, if you're going to talk about like where he's at in his development as a player, there are a lot of holes to his game where I worry about parts of it translating to the NFL. I worry about it also being very concerning, because the NFL is going to do nothing but just get faster, windows get smaller, and you have to process quicker. And so I worry about all of those parts for Michael Penix. So you can definitely consider me lower. Like, I have Spencer Rattler as my QB5 in this class. It is not Michael Penix.
I worry about those guys, man. I worry about the guys because, like, you can make magic in college, but if you can't process pre-snap and go through your reads, like, dude, JJ McCarthy is hitting the backside dig and stuff, and like he's going through his progressions. Some of these other guys
played in a pro style offense. Michael
Right.
Penix did not do that. He did not play in a pro style offense. It was a lot of first read, a lot of RPO stuff, or it was basically either. It was kind of like the David Carr or the Derek Carr offense last year. It was basically check down or we're going deep, and that's about it. And you can't survive like that, man.
I'm not a big college guy. What is it with those like teams up in the Pacific Northwest where it's like they hold up a picture of like a duck and that's the play call? Like, you know what I mean? It's like why? It's like a picture of a ham sandwich and like that's the play, and it's some gimmick play, and you know, it's like, can we just run NFL style offenses? And again, I'm the tight end guy.
You just described Bo Nix's entire Oregon career.
It's all of them up there though, right? It's just, I don't know what it is. They just decided that's how they're going to do it. But
it's
I'm the tight end guy, but little known fact, I did play quarterback myself, in high school and stuff. So I can see, the reads, like who's doing the reads and who's not. And with some of these guys, man, it gets real painful at the next level if you're not Kyler Murray. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Kyler Murray, you can just scoot around and figure it out later. Everybody else, like Tua, you watch Tua, he turns around and he throws it to where it's supposed to be thrown. And if you don't know that in advance and you're not going through your reads, you're going to get Sam Howelled out here.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, man. It's like one of the hardest things, and I know Kurt Warner and other people have talked about this out on social media. It's like, the way that collegiate offenses are built versus an NFL offense is very, very different. What they're going to be asked to do, going through even half-field reads, a lot of these guys are not being asked to do that. It's literally, here's your first read. If your first read's not there, maybe you get to your second, or you throw it out of bounds, or you throw your check down. It's one of those various things, and you see that on a lot of these different guys, like their film. Like, you could sit here and talk Michael Penix. You could talk about even Spencer Rattler. You could talk about Bo Nix. You could talk about Joe Milton. All these different guys, it's literally quick pass, run, first read. If it's not there, I might be in trouble. It's not going to fly in the NFL, dude. It's just not.
You talk about the Kurt Warner comments. He had another comment that I saw. Like, every comment, he wasn't even talking directly to Joe Milton, but everything he said just murdered Joe Milton. Like, he had another comment. He had another comment where he was like, yeah, I played in the NFL for a decade, and I probably threw it as hard as I could, maybe less than 1% of the time. Like, there's just not a lot of situations.
That's Joe Milton every snap.
That's what I'm saying. He's like
every time.
Every time, dude. Yeah, he's got a cannon, bro.
Yeah. He's got such of a cannon, but JJ McCarthy has no arm. Although Joe Milton threw 62 miles an hour and JJ McCarthy threw 61. But I'll hang up.
Don't worry about it. I love the comment you brought up, the Wink Martindale, the strawberry. He could throw a strawberry through a battleship comment. That's so fun. Because I've heard he could throw a ball through a car wash without it getting wet, but I'd never heard that. The Wink Martindale. That's a great quote, man.
That is fantastic. No, that is fantastic. I've never heard that either. That needs to be framed, actually.
That's a beauty. He was talking about Justin Herbert. Yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, the thing is, Kurt's saying it. It's like it's so much more cerebral. All those things. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Let's do this. You plant one more flag on a player, and then we'll get you out of here.
All right. Well, I got to talk about my RB1 in this class then. I got to talk about MarShawn.
I know who it is.
I have to, man. Okay, so I played around with this for weeks and weeks, and I was like, okay, we need combine, I need testing and stuff like this. I toyed around with the idea. MarShawn Lloyd was my RB2. After the combine and stuff, I was like, screw it. He's RB1. I just don't care. Like, you look at this class and it's pick your favorite flavor of ice cream. Yeah. It's who is your guy? What do they look like? What's their profile look like? What's their measurables? What's their athletic traits? All that type of stuff. MarShawn Lloyd is my dude. I love his game. I think he is a tone-setting running back. I have a third-round grade on him. I think he's one of the few guys in this class that has a true three-down skill set. The pass pro stuff, it kind of goes and it's all technique. He has the tenacity. He has the play strength. He shows on certain high-end reps. Again, the consistency is not there for him yet. That will come with more reps and better coaching and being asked to do it more. But MarShawn Lloyd, he is a running back. Come on, Coop. But just talking about the numbers, man. Not even getting into the fact that he went out and tested extremely well. Ran a 4.440 at 220 pounds. He is rocked up, baby. Outside of that, even if you just go off of, okay, what am I getting out of this guy just from a tackle breaking perspective? Over the last 2 seasons, amongst running backs with at least 100 carries, Coop, he is top 20 in yards after contact per attempt, both years. He's top 20 in breakaway run rate in both years. He is also top 20, as well as, just throwing this out there, 4th last year in PFF elusive rating. So somebody's going to have to tell me why the heck you don't like MarShawn Lloyd. He's got 3-down skill set. He can break tackles. He's got the freaking juice, and he's got the size to hold up to the workload, even though we did not see it. Like 200 carries, 20 carries per game at USC. He's got everything you want. So when people say this RB class sucks, I say, you know what? You need to go back to the film on MarShawn Lloyd. You need to go back to the film on Jalen Wright. They are the guys that are putting on their hero capes and flying into this draft class and saying, you know what? We're here to save it, baby.
Boom. Let's go. That's a perfect example of a guy that, because this year, the second round, it's going to be all wide receivers and quarterbacks first round, second, and Brock Bowers. And then second round is going to be pick your poison at running back. You are only going to have like 1 second round pick. You're going to have to pick somebody at some
I have
point.
MarShawn Lloyd as my 112 right now.
Good.
So
Yeah,
I have him as a first round pick.
Again, if you're picking at 112 and 212, you got to just take your guy there, right? Yeah. So, last thing here for people, if you want to get in, take advantage of this kind of stuff we're talking about, go to my FFPC. They got Dynasty Leagues over there. You can get set up. You can use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. 2 ways to do it. You can get into a startup draft. D-Bro is doing 2 right now. You can do as many as you want. Of course you are. I'm sure you got more coming. Or you can pick up an orphan team, which is just as fun, right? You keep the guys you like. You got all this trade bait for the guys that you don't like that other people like, which is, I honestly love that part as well. So hit the QR code here or go down into the description. Use promo code Coop when you deposit $35. They give you 25 or more, and you get set up and rock and roll there. Take advantage of everything that we just gave you on this show, man. Good stuff, man. I should have set us up for 2 hours, but because
you know that I never shut up.
I know.
You just got to know. Which
I know. So hey, but maybe we can get back on, hit it again. Really appreciate you coming on, man. You're the man, and people, they got to check out your show going on right now over at Fantasy Pros. It's the Dynasty Show with you and Thor. I know you're bringing other people into the mix too, like Pat Fitz was on there a little bit too. So tell everybody where they can find that and what you else got going on. We'll get you out of here, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, all things and stuff. I mean, subscribe to both of the feeds for Fantasy Pros as far as the podcast feeds for both the main show. I'm on the main show for Fantasy Pros and the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show with Thor and I. I'll make appearances as well on the Dynasty Show. So if you're subscribed to both of those feeds, you're getting all the things, all the stuff. Follow me on X at @Dbro_FFB. And again, if that's not even the catch-all be-all, like, check us out on YouTube, man. Fantasy Pros is on YouTube. Great account. We're always pushing out content from a ton of people under the umbrella on a daily basis. I just, today or tomorrow, I have top 10 combine surprise video that's dropping there too. But all the things and stuff, man, my primers are out this week. Coop, you're the man, man. Like, I love coming on these shows. Love talking ball with you. One of the best in the industry, dude. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, brother. Let's link up again, dude. Let me know when you want to talk tight ends, dog. I know you got the article later this week. All right, guys.
Tease me with a good time, baby.
Let's go. That's it for us. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for hanging out, dude. Thank you, Matt Deutsch behind the glass. Everybody go get set up with my FFPC. Get your all-pro subscription over at Fantasy Alarm. We're doing best ball draft starting soon, baby. That's it for us. Have a good one.